Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. And you may have heard the popular local song, More Zessing, Less Stressing. I was told, I was instructed not to sing it this morning. But it is, you know, while we joke and we have a little bit of fun about what's taking place, the fact is that this song is reflective of a cultural transition that's taking place not just among the youth, but throughout the country. And it's now giving rise to what we can say the Zesser Pill and new drugs entering the country. Some of them not so old and it's not so new. We have the re-emergence of ecstasy. Cocaine seems to be prevalent among young people now in terms of the use, and all of these pill parties that are emerging. It's now gained the attention of not just the authorities, but all of the NGOs, the government and the state agencies that are working assiduously to ensure that this does not become a problem facing our country. And Esther, she's a manager of the National Drug Center, and Michelle Nasseir, a deputy director of the Forensic Center, are both here to talk about the physical and mental effects as we joke about the more zessing, less stressing. What is the message being sent to young people, and do you know the impact of the Zesser Pill? Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you.
Now, Ms. West, let me start with you about the zessing pill or the Zesser Pill. What exactly is it? What is the chemical composition of this pill?
Well, Ms. Nasseir is better qualified to speak on the chemical composition. What we do know is that the narrative that was originally in the public domain, that it is a mixture of cocaine and ecstasy, is incorrect. So we wanted to put that out there early, because it started with the fact that this was a mixture of ecstasy and cocaine, and this is what it was doing. At the time, we did not have any samples that could have been tested. That has now changed, and the Forensic Science Center did get some samples of what was being sold as the Zesser Pill, and Mrs. Nasseir will be able to tell you about the chemical composition of those pills.
So what is the Zesser Pill? Because you are right. I assumed with the narrative that it's a mixture of cocaine and ecstasy. It's just a re-emergence of ecstasy.
Yes, that's in fact not actually correct. The Zesser Pill that we received contains ecstasy only, and as a result, there's no cocaine that was detected or any other substance that was added to it, so that the strength of the tablet is actually what is causing it to be so potent that persons are collapsing in parties and so on.
So tell me about the strength of the tablet. So you have the pill that you have is just ecstasy. Yes. So when you talk about the strength, is it ecstasy on steroids? What exactly is it? I don't even know how to describe it. Is it more of one chemical present? They
actually have a dose that ecstasy is supposed to be in the tablet. And what we have found is that they're actually called super strong ecstasy tablets, because they're sometimes twice and 3 times what is the accepted dose. And that's what makes them now bordering on being lethal. Persons have died as a result of taking them. Also, what we found, that different pills have come into the country recently, within the last few months, and there's a mixture of ecstasy and other drugs. And the other drugs is what is actually what we're concerned about, because you don't know how, between one person and another, how you would respond to the tablet.
So there are 3 things that you said I have to pick up on. You said persons have died.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the statistics and how many persons have you in this?
We haven't seen anyone die in Trinidad. Internationally, the pill is used, and we found persons have died in the UK, in Germany, as a result of young persons have gone to parties, taken the pills, had to be rushed to hospital, and have died. So they actually have ecstasy linked to deaths now.
So the ecstasy is now, the prevalence that you're seeing it now, is it now a problem?
Yes, and back in February, we started detecting more of it around November of last year, with the contribution from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime of some handheld field testing devices that we were able to go out and test these items with. But in February, there was a large shipment. Over 4,000 tablets were confiscated at the Piarco Postal Service. And based on that, Minister Young, I don't know if you would have recalled, but Minister Young made a statement at that time calling on the public to be careful, to be mindful of what they're using over the carnival period, because this was just before carnival. And then subsequently, because they continued to find all of these different tablets, Minister Young was approached to add ecstasy to the Dangerous Drugs Act, because it was not formally on the Dangerous Drugs Act. We've gotten the support of the Attorney General, and that has now happened. So we should have it on the Dangerous Drugs Act in the next week or 2.
Oh, yes.
In the next week or so. All of the arrangements are in place, and we just need the final say.
So if you had to compare, what do you think where is it being used? Is it one particular geographic area? Are you seeing it as a national problem and a particular age group?
No, we're thinking it's a national problem because we're seeing it at different types of parties, so it's not at one type of party. Before ecstasy, we knew ecstasy was in the environment, but it was always labeled like a party drug, and it was always kind of said to be in the upper socioeconomic background. That is no longer the case. We are seeing it appearing in many different areas at different parties among different socioeconomic groups. And so we are very, very concerned, and we thank you for the opportunity to come on and provide some additional information to the public to alert them to this challenge.
When you talk about the other types of drugs as well, because you said you're not just concerned, but you're particularly concerned about the other type of drugs. What are these drugs, and what are the effects of these drugs?
The other types of drugs are called, they're a new class of drugs. They're called new psychoactive substances. They're not illegal drugs, but they mimic the effects of the illegal drugs. And it's because persons have looked at the chemistry of the drugs and made them almost exactly or like the illegal drugs. The effects, we don't know from one person to the next how they will respond to these new psychoactive substances. So internationally, these drugs are now trying to be controlled because you really don't know from one drug to another how someone will respond to the drugs. What you do know is that they are causing so much stimulation, so much depression, so much hallucinogenic effects that persons are responding negatively. So it's now a public health problem that persons can, if you don't know what the drug that they've taken, you don't know how to treat them when they do get to hospital.
So these are considered what people describe as uppers in parties, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're now in this gray area with drug control where we don't know, one, what these drugs are and the effects of these drugs. For parents listening to this morning, how will you know? Because young people are experimenting. In fact, you go to the rise of the pill parties. People are going to pharmacies and buying 3 and 4 bottles of cough syrup to extract or to take as it is. How would a parent be aware that something is different with my child, or somebody in my family may be doing this?
Basically from the reaction and their behaviors. Unfortunately, if they're not doing it in the home and it's happening when they're out at parties, most parents may not be aware, you know, unless the child comes home and is in a state that does not seem to be their normal state. But for parents, what I would advise parents to look for would be signs that their child may be dehydrated, signs that their child may be really having a psychotic episode, acting very irrationally. And those would be for the ecstasy and the NPSs. The normal things for marijuana, the red eyes, the little disconnect, that kind of thing. And the other concern that we have as well is the edibles, because the edibles are out there, the marijuana edibles are out there, the brownies, the cookies, the candy, the gummies, everything is out there.
A doctor said to me the other day, said, hey, Ma, people don't understand the impact of eating marijuana because it's supposed to be smoked. You know, even though it's illegal, let me clear this, it's illegal. You know, they were like, it is something that people will smoke, but you do not know. So maybe we can break that up, because the rise of marijuana brownies, marijuana cookies, it's everywhere. So what exactly happens to the body when you ingest marijuana?
Like anything else, when you ingest food, it goes throughout your system. And so some of it is stored in the fat cells of your body and then is released as you go. Over time, it is released. The challenge is, and Mrs. Nasseir can speak more specifically to this, the challenge is that in recent times, when the Forensic Science Center has tested these edibles, they have found exceptionally high levels of THC and very little plant-based connection. And Mrs. Nasseir will explain that
to me.
Exactly.
So, because for those listening, because people don't know the impact, so they just ingest this and you think a marijuana brownie or a marijuana gummy, which seems to be very prevalent in parties now.
I want to clear up that we are finding it in schools. It's being sold in schools to school children. So the majority of the marijuana brownies and cookies are being submitted from principals or from security guards who have brought it into the forensic science center to be tested. The problem that we're having right now is that the concentration of the active compound for marijuana, which is THC, is so high in the brownies that when persons have eaten the brownies or the cookies, they have a psychotic event. They have confessed to murders, they have jumped through windows and broken their hands, they have to rush to the hospital to be sedated. And when
are we seeing that with young people?
We are seeing
Yes.
that, I'm telling you, about real cases among young persons. And that's where the concern has been triggered, to sensitize persons that this is not only fun and games, you're actually affecting your health because you're ingesting marijuana, you don't know what the strength of it is, and it will have an effect on your brain.
The long-term effects on the brain, what is that going to be? Because, you know, even now there's the quantity of the body of knowledge while it's moving towards medical marijuana.
Yes.
You know, the medical knowledge is simply still not there to the fact that we will know what the long-term impact is.
That's
so when you're
right.
looking at these drugs and you're looking at ingesting, what are some of the things that people are playing with in terms of their brain development? Because as young people, they're still developing.
That's right.
Exactly.
You hit the nail right on the head. They're going to be affected, but the neurons are going to be affected. So we expect to see persons with mental disorders coming out of this. It will affect your ability to retain, your memory, your ability to learn. And we're seeing it among young persons where the brain is still developing. So that's where danger lies.
The scientific base is that the bottom line is that you should not use before the age of 24 because the brain is not considered fully developed before the age of 24. But if you're using this, and let us make the clear distinction between medical marijuana and recreational
because
use, please.
because people are, you know, I think they
There's
think
a
if it's good for
disconnect.
medicine, that they could, you know, how bad can it be? And I've
There's a
heard young
disconnect.
people give me that logic.
Oh yeah, they tell us that all the time. But Miss, it's good for glaucoma. But do you have glaucoma?
Yeah, do you have chronic pain? Are you in, you know?
Exactly. So the medical piece of it, the cannabinoids, that is where they have found the medical value. And the World Health Organization last year issued a statement acknowledging the medical value of the cannabinoids. The cannabinoids do not have THC, which is the psychoactive substance.
That's right.
And the World Health Organization has paused and said there needs to be increased research on the THC component before they can say that this has medical value. So that is still ongoing. But we know what THC does. THC offers you the high.
Yeah, that's
so there is this mixed message, deliberately so I think, about what is good medically and how good it feels to do it recreationally.
I know I want to ask because people are mixing, and we're going to open our phone lines for a very short bit because I feel as though these interviews, parents need to get involved in this conversation. And I feel sometimes, you know, even when I ask the questions, you know, sometimes people don't get their questions in. We'll open our phone lines in a very, very short bit. But people are mixing the marijuana with the ecstasy and with oats. So tell me a little bit because one is an up one is a down one. I can't imagine what is happening in your brain at that time.
That's right. So you will go through antagonistic reactions where your body is trying to be stimulated as well being depressed. So there's no wonder that you see behavior consistent with the use of both drugs. But most young persons are using the marijuana brownies. I want to believe it's because that's what they can afford. And they have easy access to it. Whereas the party crowd, the ones who are looking for a good time, the ones who want to stay up 4 to 6 hours. So we're actually seeing it also among university students who need to stay up to study.
Because there is, I mean, when I was on campus many, many, many years ago, I'm going to put this out there, there was people would smoke marijuana, and I remember that they would think that one of the brightest guys, like, yeah, he just smokes weed and remembers everything. And
No way.
that is the perception that people have. And I was just like, what? That makes no sense.
That's right. That's right,
sense.
because it will make you sleepy. Marijuana has the opposite effect. So, yeah.
And young people believe that, and people are under the impression of with peer pressure and with that desire to do that. But with the uppers and the downers and the rise of ecstasy and all these other chemicals that we do not know, you just don't know. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to open our phone lines for about 5 to 6 minutes because we're running tight on time. But this is really about if you have questions about this rising drug use problem in our country. Stay with us. This is the Morning Brew.
Homeland Marketing for your wrought iron designs, gates, zinc hollow section, primer, Makita tools, wheels, tracks and guides. Number 44 Montrose Main Road, Chaguanas. 3 buildings after the Chaguanas Medical Center, heading east. Homeland Marketing, beautifying homes.
Seaview Optical Frame Fiesta Sale. Get your free designer frames with the purchase of progressive or bifocal transition lenses. Free spectacle frames such as Calvin Klein, Guess, Nautica, 9 West, and many more. See in store for more specials. Special conditions apply.
The Elections and Boundaries Commission wishes to inform all qualified persons who are not registered or are in doubt about their registration status that the electoral registration for the forthcoming 2019 local government elections has begun. There are 6 days left to get your name on the revised list of electors. The final day for electoral registration is Sunday, November 3rd, 2019. Check your registration status on the EBC website at www.ebctt.com or visit your registration area office to ensure your correct name and address are on the revised list of electors. To vote is your right, but you must be registered. For further information, please call the EBC hotline at 627-1516 or 627-0745. A message from the Elections and Boundaries Commission, your partners in democracy.
Welcome back to Trinidad and Tobago. We'll continue our conversation. I know our phone lines are open, 624-721-627-8658. And I want to ask the question about, I asked about the mixing of drugs. So you have the up and the down, but then you have parties where you have obviously the flow of alcohol and these drugs. What are you seeing happening there?
Well, we don't know for sure because we haven't had any toxicology screens from any of the images that you showed earlier. But what we think is happening, understanding the nature of the substance use, is that the ecstasy is being used with alcohol, which is a dangerous combination because then you are more likely to be dehydrated. Yeah. I remember when we were doing the first set of public education sessions with the breathalyzer, one of the things that we told people all the time is to keep hydrating. Even if you're drinking alcohol, keep using water, drink your coconut water, that kind of thing. If you're drinking alcohol and then you're mixing it with the ecstasy and all the other chemicals that Ms Nasseir referred to, you're actually putting your body in great risk because of the dehydration.
624-721-67865. We have a call on the line. I'm asking for you to put your questions as quickly as you can because we're trying to help as many callers as we can. We have a caller. Good morning. Hello. Hello. Good morning. I think the volume is a little low. Hello. Good morning. Okay. 624-721-627-8658. Our phone lines are open. Now, you have a public education campaign, and as with the breathalyzer, you had changes. You have police out. How are police now going to be involved in it to enforce the law with this? Is there a possible way to do this?
The police service has also been trained to detect the presence of the ecstasy because they have the handheld field device, but they are essentially going to seize and bring it to the center for us to test to confirm that the drug is there, and then they'll be able to prosecute accordingly because the drug is now on the Dangerous Drug Act.
The possibility of addiction.
It's very real.
And that's what I know we're out of time on this time, but I want to ask about the possibility of addiction. How then what are some of the facilities? Is it going to be the same sort of withdrawal? What do people go through?
It's going to be just the same reaction as for cocaine. You're going to become addicted to the drug just as you would if you take cocaine. It is a stimulant, and you'll also go through all the withdrawal symptoms when you stop using the drug. So the treatment providers are going to have a strategy to deal with persons who are now addicted to ecstasy.
We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, I think our fallback is pretty... Hello, good morning.
Yeah, morning.
Good morning, yeah, we're hearing you now.
Yeah, I want to know what exactly is ecstasy.
Thanks so much. What exactly is ecstasy?
It's a class of drugs called amphetamines, and it's a stimulant. It has no medical use. So it will just produce a stimulation in your body, so your heart will race, your body temperature will elevate, and so on, and it makes you feel good. It's a feel-good drug.
So I hope that answered your question, Cole. And if you have any other questions, feel free to check out all the websites. To all of the young people out there, your brain is still developing. You do not know the long-term impacts on this, on your body, on your health, on your well-being. And I know that you have a mammoth task, but we're seeing a rise in drug use and drug abuse in our country, and the rise of these new types of drugs. So it's no longer just marijuana and cocaine and hashish, which I think some people still do, but you're now seeing ecstasy and other stimulants, and persons are ingesting the marijuana. Please know that the medical research on this is not solid, so you do not know the impact. And to all of the parents out there, if you have suspicions, seek medical help. Get your child tested. They're still a child if they're under the age of 18. Remember your role as a parent. We take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more for you. Stay with us. This is The Morning Brew.